This is a Hot Pie Original.
Well, he's an interesting character. Richard Sherman. You don't have to be a football nerd, well, maybe a little bit, to appreciate Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, I would say until the last couple of days, is a first ballot Hall of Fame player. Somebody could debate that. I don't know that there's much of a debate. I think that would be the case, although I'm not quite sure that's going to be the case now. Richard Sherman is, in pro football, here's a little nerdish take for you, but when you want to succeed in the NFL, you have to have at least 4 to 5 things to win consistently. You have to. You really don't make it without one or the other. You have to have a very good left tackle, quarterback, pass rusher, wide receiver, and what I would call a lockdown cornerback. To win in the NFL, if you have to build a team, you do that with those blocks. You have to have those things. You really don't go anywhere without. Okay? So Richard Sherman is one of those 5 pieces. This is in the pro football world, the diva positions are wide receiver and lockdown cornerback. Lockdown cornerback means this is the person I say, just like out there playing in the street, you go take their best guy. Go. And that's what you go do for 4 quarters. You cover that dude. You don't draw that up on a board. You just go, that's your guy. And then those positions, those 2 guys going against each other are usually the divas of pro football, but they are 2 of those building blocks that you have to succeed. And he has been a rock solid, I would say Hall of Fame player. Hall of Fame-like career, long career at a very tough position. And he's an interesting guy, very smart guy, well-spoken guy. And I bring this up because this is, 1, going to be a Hall of Famer, maybe not now. 2, this is one of these guys that would go straight to the media world and it would work out probably pretty well. Well-spoken, good smile, some charisma. Some guys that you think are going to be good in media end up being terrible. And somebody like Tony Romo, who you would think, wait, what? Is a rock star. But I would think Richard Sherman is one of those people that I don't know that he would be an in the studio or a studio commentator. It would be interesting. He's just an interesting, smart guy with a different take on things. And he's fearless, right? Well, it's all coming apart now. I think the interesting part is what happens to him now. He is, we have a different perspective on celebrities you read about versus celebrities you watch in their meltdown. When you see the meltdown, it just seems like it carries much more weight and it sticks around longer. Go back to the days of the NFL player Ray Rice, running back for the Baltimore Ravens. Ray Rice never saw a football field again not just because he beat up his then fiancée, but because we watched him beat up his then fiancée. There's this staying power today visually. So now Richard Sherman is caught on his in-laws' doorbell camera flipping out. Now, I say he was originally charged with a felony. All the charges against him now, he goes on a drunken rampage, trying to break open the door, screaming at everybody, threatening to kill himself, threatening to hurt them. They're all misdemeanors. So this is going to be one of those times when you watch. I think the chances of him playing in the NFL next year, I'm not going to say they're impossible, but it gets pretty dim. He was a free agent, having played for the 49ers. I'm really curious if who doesn't sign him even before this. And I'm really curious if who doesn't now get him at a discounted price. Who is the man with the plastic face that owns the Dallas Cowboys.
There is less pie left, make no bones about it.
He's the guy that likes to believe, I believe in my guys, I'll take care of you. So Richard Sherman's price tag, whatever it was going to be, is dropping fast. Here we are in almost August. He didn't have a team, and now he doesn't have a team, and he looks like a lunatic on camera, going to beat up somebody. I just think it's going to be fascinating to watch how this plays out in the short term. Does somebody sign him? 2, does somebody sign him by the name of Jones? 3, does he play at all? Because he was a guy on the back end of his career, definitely. He's an aging cornerback who's had a great career, but with some baggage, you don't need him. Jones might need him. I can make an argument Jones did need him before this, and I think he still might need him. But you get him at a cheaper price because no one else is going to want to touch him. Then you get this issue about, in an day and age of domestic violence is not going to be okay, it's going to stick with you forever. Does it stick with him forever? Does getting caught on a doorbell camera going psycho, coming after your ex-wife, no, I guess they're still married, I don't know. Does it have an effect on his Hall of Fame career? Or is it one of these things where he's a lunatic, but in the news cycle of today, you forget about it in 2 days. There are misdemeanor charges anywhere, and there are misdemeanor charges. But there's video. There's video, and he is pissed, and it's pretty scary because he's coming in. Man, those things are clear, aren't they? They're amazing videos, these doorbell things. Yeah. It's a bad look. The whole family's screaming. I don't think anyone's going to come out Dr. Rich. He is about ready to rip somebody's head off, and he's hammered. It is crystal clear. Reading about it is different than seeing it. And I think whatever market was there for Richard Sherman, okay, I think it dried up unless Gerald Jones. If Jerry Jones were to say 2 weeks from now, you know what, I got a piece that I need and I got him at a discounted price, I think he might be right. Question is, does the league step in now and say one of our most likable, charismatic players, and he is. He's just an interesting guy. He's a very smart guy. He's an outspoken guy. He's easy to criticize, but he's kind of fearless. He's so smart. He's pretty fearless, and everything is blowing up in this moment of this drunken rampage. And does everything include not playing again and not getting in the Hall of Fame one day? Because I would bet money he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Maybe not now, and maybe not because of this video. But Jeff, it's just a misdemeanor charge. You're right. The problem is the video. He looks and acts like a full-on raging lunatic who's going after his wife. We think. And it matters a lot. I can just see it, though, and I might be arguing on his behalf. I could just see Jerry Jones doing that thing that he does. It's backfired on him countless times, right? I mean, Jerry Jones, you remember he tried to sign a guy named Greg Hardy who beat his wife. And the only reason why he wasn't in prison is because in North Carolina, you have to show up. The accuser has to be there. And she didn't show up. And so even though he was found guilty, a judge had to let him go. Jerry Jones signed him, and the guy ate himself out of the league and didn't last. I don't even think it lasted a year. His name was Greg Hardy. Jones went out of his way. We had his daughter meet with the guy, all this stuff. Oh, we love him. We're going to fix him and all this stuff. But I could see Jerry in this case putting his arm around this guy and saying, hey, I've always loved Richard. Richard's going to be okay now. Richard's going to clean his act up, even though he was always perfectly fine until now. Richard's going to be okay. And then Jerry's going to wink and say, I got him at a discounted price. And he's going to be right. And it may be a fairly smart move football-wise. I'm not morally arguing that Richard Sherman is not going after his in-laws to hurt them. Not arguing that. Morally, he's wrong. I'm just saying in the NFL world, that's a really good player now at a discounted price. Who's going to take the risk?
John McClellan is the co-founder and creator of ATX Hot Sauce in all 50 states, now in several retail outlets as well. So we're going to turn it over to the social media rock chef superstar, and we're going to walk through a few sauces and why you should buy. We've done beet heat, so we're second in line now for the tasting. Don't forget, everyone, go to atxhotsauce.com. So here we go.
All right, so this one is our smoked habanero 5-pepper. We smoke habaneros with ancho,
Is that going to hurt?
This one? No,
Yeah.
This one's actually really, really good.
Okay.
This is like your traditional tapatio, but without the vinegar in it, right? And because of that fermentation process that we've talked about all the time. This one is great on sandwiches, pizzas, things like that. Great on hot wings. I think you're going to really like this one too, especially the smoky flavor with the adobe chipotle and the smoked habaneros. We actually smoked the habaneros before we.
Does that go with the cab?
This would not go with the cab. This would go with the great Chenin Blanc, though.
I knew you were gonna. I teed you up with that one.
Yeah, yeah.
That is good. That's good.
Isn't that good? It's just classic take. Well, it's a new take on a classic item. So it's called smoked habanero 5-pepper.
All right, don't forget
One of my
ATX.
favorites.
Don't forget atxhotsauce.com.
Well, we got a horns down issue. Let me first of all explain a few things. There are people that are football fans. Cool. There are people that are just college football fans. Cool. And there's Jeff, who's a football scientist. Not so cool. So bear with me when I tell you the game to me is nothing but science. I love the science. I'm fascinated by the game, but the game to me is just pure science. The science of the game is interesting. None of the emotion is very interesting to me. Okay, so that's the qualification. So don't be, I understand the distinction here, and if you want to be a fan, be a fan. Much of what I'm about to say is probably has more to do with the science than with just being a fan. But the Big 12, there's so much wrong. There's so much wrong, in my opinion, with the science, the actual structure of the college game. I'm not talking about all the stuff, the bands fighting about Texas, the eyes of Texas. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm talking about the science of the structure of the game is just kind of screwed up. I don't think the game is very good, and the game could be a lot better. That said, the Big 12 has their media day, which is dumb, but it's the time to talk about stuff. It's time to promote the upcoming season. It's all of that stuff. Out of it comes what to do about the horns down. I can't even get myself to do it. I was about to do it, but I can't. That's not cool with me. My arm might fall off. I can't do that. You can. Do it yourself right now. During the second day of Big 12 Media Days, the conference coordinator of officials, Greg Burks, handed down an ultimatum about the horns down. See, I can't do it. I was about to try, but an ultimatum about the horns down symbol heading into the 2021 season. Okay, whether you're a Texas fan or not, by this point, you've seen it plenty of times. It may bother you. Trust me, I've had it in my face for a long time, probably every Saturday afternoon. I get it. That's the biggest problem in college football. That's what you're worried about? Yes, that's what they're worried about. The games take 6 hours and you're worried about this? Oh my gosh. Burks revealed that cracking down on taunting will be a major focus of the league this year. He maintained that the horns down gesture, when directed at Texas players, will be considered a penalty and be officiated as such. Okay, the games are now going to last 7 hours. Oh, God. Please just snap the freaking ball. You're going to have yellow flags flying from every direction. You're not going to know why. This is where this is where the college game loses me. You go, where's the official going? The referee's walking off at some tunnel to look at some replay of some obscure penalty, and it takes 12 minutes. Now we're going to have meetings every 15 seconds every time somebody plays against Texas and some yahoo does horns down. We got flags flying from every direction. We got another referee conversation, and the game. Do I think it's classless? Of course. I'm a little bit biased. Of course. This is it. This is what you want to do to the game that already takes forever. You already have constant officiating conferences. Most of the time, and I know the game pretty well. My father was an NFL referee. I grew up around the game. Okay, I can see penalties before anyone else. Okay, most of the time, most of us don't even know what they're meeting about. Oh, there's another meeting of referees. Good gosh, what's this one about? These are going to be about, well, the cornerback, I think, did a horns down. Yellow flag comes flying in. I don't know how many horns downs there are in any given game. I bet you quite a few. So, and I know to Texas fans, you might think this is cool. This is further sucking the life out of the flow of a game. Games have a flow, right? My father used to tell me good officiating is when you don't know there's officiating. The game flows. The game's played well, right? That's a good football game. To a scientist, a good football game is a game that just starts flowing. The ball is snapped, you get in a rhythm, the game gets going, it's easy to follow. The way the Big 12 and the way the college game is currently moving, you can't get into a flow. I mean, imagine a situation now. Again, I'm not saying it's not classless. I'm just saying if you're prioritizing fixing your game, throwing a bunch of flags for horns down is not going to make your game go better. Okay? Why not go back and look? If you really want to stop this from happening, don't stop the flow of the game. After the fact, you want to send out notices and you want to send out warnings. Do it after the fact. Don't stop the flow of the game because every jackass that does horns down. What I'm saying is, imagine this situation, okay? Get in a rhythm, your quarterback throws 3 completions in a row, boom, 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 you're moving, you're in the flow of a game. First of all, in college football, they don't practice enough, they don't play enough. That's why their games look like crap. Fumbles everywhere, block kicks everywhere. It just doesn't get in the flow. So all of a sudden you got a game where you get in the flow, and then your guy gets tackled after an 8-yard gain. You know how it works, right? Some dude catches his first pass. He acts like it's the greatest play of all time. He thinks he's Jerry Rice, and he's doing first down, and the other dude's doing horns down. See, I couldn't do it again. Tried. My hands went, Okay, but you see my point. And now all of a sudden, stop. Here comes the back judge running in from 20 yards away, trying to explain to somebody, that dude was doing horns down. Bob, what'd you see? I think I saw horns down. Here we have another conference, and the game cannot get going. Next pass is incomplete. Oh, boy, here we go. A 2-hour quarter. Don't even get me started on halftime shows. It'd take forever. So Burks, who's the head of officials, says, let me put it this way. If you do a horns down, this is the director of officials sending out the mandate to other officials. We're going to flag you. We're going to flag you every time. Let me put it this way. If you do a horns down to a Texas player as an opponent, that's probably going to be a foul. However, Burks said that if an opposing player directed the horns down sign toward the crowd, right, which is every bench warmer who never sees the field is just over there doing horns down for 4 hours, right? Who cares, loser? Who cares? Your mom and dad are waving at you. Nice. Burke said that if an opposing player directed the horns down sign toward the crowd, it, quote, probably would not be a penalty. Imagine that flag. Here comes one, thrown all the way from the back. Bob, what'd you see? Another horns down? We got 11 of them already. Yeah. You see that engineering student over there who's never going to play? He's up on the bench doing horns down at the crowd. Okay? Coach is over there going, what the hell? You know, they have 175 people on the sidelines, most of whom never see that field. Okay? Coach is saying, what the hell now? Horns down. Well, I didn't see any horns down. Yeah, you see that little skinny dude over there with a uniform that doesn't fit? He keeps doing horns down. Well, why'd you call that? Because they said we could. I did. I know I'm probably the only person who cares about this, but when you're trying, when you have a life, when you want to sit down, you want to watch a college game, or you sit in the stands to watch a college game, and you're baking in the sun, and you're thinking, wow, this has taken a long time. My forehead is on fire. This stuff is what is sucking the life out of these games. It's sucking the life out of them. It's going to be out of control in a game that is already out of control with stops and starts and stops and starts. Before you do this, you know what you ought to fix in college football? And yes, I'm suggesting it should be more like the NFL. You know what the NFL cares about? What the game looks like on TV. You know what the NFL cares most about? Get this thing done in 3 hours so the average person will watch. You know what college football is doing the opposite of? Going the other way where games take 6 hours. No normal person can do that. What you ought to be fixing is stopping the clock on first downs. Start there. Stop calling a guy down because his knee touches and no one's within 7 miles of him. Stop it. Stop stopping the clock. Got it? Your game will flow, people will watch more, and it won't be so ridiculous. You're doing the opposite by sending out some obscure mandate that we're going to throw a flag for horns down, which every Texas game, there's at least a dozen horns down. I mean, they'll be playing some obscure directional school in mid-September, early September, and it's 110 degrees. I'm pretty certain that Louisiana directional school dude is going to do a horns down just because he saw it somewhere. Who cares? Let's go, man. Just get the game going. Oh. Fix the interference rule, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. In college football, again, a lot of fans I maybe not even know this, but in the NFL, pass is thrown, right? Long pass, defensive back interferes, chops the guy's head off. Guess where the ball goes? It goes to where you committed the foul, because that way you'll be punished for committing that foul. In college football, if a guy beats you, you might as well shoot him in the leg. You know why? Because it's 15 yards. And while we're at it, could you please stop at the halftime shows? 10 minutes out. Out. Let's go. You got a band? You better hurry up with your freaking songs because it's time to play. It's beautiful about the NFL. You go in the locker room, you come right back out. You don't get cold. You don't lose everything. Am I ranting about something that maybe most people don't care about? Just remember, when you start seeing these weird flags everywhere, I'm just telling you now, it may feel like the right thing to do. You may be offended by horns down. I get all of that. This is begging to make the game more disconnected, to ruin the flow of a game, and put some mandate in the hands of referees who could be throwing flags from all over the place.
JeffWardShow.com.